AMURT is an international organization for development, cooperation, and disaster relief. It was founded in India in the early 1960s. There are now local independent teams in over 80 countries that share the same principles as the basis for projects and programs. Machu Picchu Stars, a project of AMURT Peru, seeks to eliminate the blocks that hearing disabled people experience and give them access to a life with dignity. Machu Picchu Stars is a small business venture that produces ethnic Peruvian dolls and traditional high-quality children's clothing for export. Our main focus is to provide work opportunities which help the hearing disabled integrate into society, become independent, and lead productive lives. We strive to do this in a holistic way by also addressing educational and healthcare needs. Disabilities and poverty go hand in hand. Lack of healthcare and work safeguards cause more disabilities in poor countries. In these countries, disabilities come from situations which are not dreamed of in rich countries. The disabled person, because of the barriers and lack of opportunities in poor countries, has little chance to escape poverty. But, on the whole, the disabled are always the poorest of the poor in any country. There are at least 25,000 hearing disabled in Greater Lima, of whom only 13% are employed. Many of these people have been trained as seamstresses and tailors. They often cannot find work as employers lack the patience to communicate with them in the fast-paced and competitive environment of Lima's clothing factories. If they do find work, they are paid very low wages and doomed to menial tasks like cutting threads and cleaning. Sometimes, unscrupulous employers refuse to pay them. On top of this, the hearing disabled often live in extreme poverty and isolation due to their inability to communicate. 90% of the hearing disabled in Peru have only a primary school education. They lack proficiency in sign language, cannot read lips, have not learned to speak, cannot read and write, and have a limited knowledge of their own mother tongue. Very often they cannot even communicate with their own families. With no government support and no financial means of their own, young adults who are hearing disabled often sit at home all day long staring at the walls with nothing to do and no hope. They often become severely depressed and feel that they are a burden to their families. They wonder how they are going to survive when their parents are no longer alive. In the year 2000, with the idea of generating work for the poorest of the poor, AMURT Peru started a project called Machu Picchu Stars. The project was to make handmade dolls. It started with $6, a borrowed sewing machine, and 2 volunteers. The volunteers worked very hard, designing, producing, and marketing beautiful handmade dolls. In 2003, the project was ready to expand and formed a working team of 5 hearing disabled persons. Machu Picchu Stars started with the idea to create work for people. It has done that. Machu Picchu Stars has also achieved these things. We have sold up to 7,000 dolls. We have built up a capital that consists of industrial machines, materials, finished dolls, and cash. We've exported our dolls to Sweden, Italy, England, Germany, Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, Taiwan, Japan, and the United States. We now have a trained workforce of 10 hearing disabled people who earn a fair wage. With the idea to expand even further, in 2006, we began producing children's clothing for export to the United States. However, our biggest success and greatest joy has been to see how the hearing disabled members of our team have grown in self-confidence and self-esteem. One by one, we have seen a new team member change from a sad, depressed state to a purposeful, self-assured one. Our new members truly become stars in the sense that they now have brightness and hope in their lives. Here are the members of Machu Picchu Stars. Odile, for example, is 23 years old. Her parents discovered that she had a hearing disability when she was 2.5 years old. Before she worked in our project, she was severely depressed. She slept during the day and watched TV all night. But now she has become the teacher and supervisor of her friends in the workshop. Odile is now bright, cheerful, and has an active social life. She has the total responsibility for the production and quality control of the sewing room. Cecilia lives near our workroom. In the 2 years she has worked with us, she has learned many social skills. Before, she had very little language ability, and thus she reacted to stressful situations with aggression. Now she works hard every day with a smiling face and helps her work companions. Miguel comes from a family of seamstresses and seems to have sewing in his blood. He can do extremely delicate and difficult sewing techniques. We have yet to find something that he cannot do. He learns quickly and is extremely responsible. He travels 4 hours to come and go home from our sewing room. Isabel is one of the original members of our project. She is married and has a 2-year-old son. However, because they are too poor to afford an apartment of their own, Isabel and her son continue to live with her parents, and her husband lives with his parents. Evelyn is now in her early 20s. Her mother explains that she was a bright, happy 2-year-old when she was stricken with meningitis. The meningitis left her completely deaf and with a mild seizure disorder. Evelyn follows instructions very well, but works slowly. Her greatest joy is to talk with her fellow workers every day in the sewing room. We are now 10 people crowded together in about 10 square meters of space. In order to work properly and to provide work for more people, we desperately need more space. In order to do this, we are seeking donations to buy land and build a facility which will be the first business venture for the hearing disabled in Peru. It is our dream and firm commitment to one day provide work with dignity for hundreds of hearing disabled persons. We already have a trained working team which is capable and functions together cohesively. Trained teachers within our team. Production experience. Knowledge and skill in difficult sewing techniques. Experience in export production. 6 years experience as a sustainable business. In order to expand our operations, we only need more space. Help us to make these dreams a reality for hundreds of hearing disabled people. Everyone should be able to live a life with dignity.